Hello everyone, this is Mr. Mola for lesson 9-4, solving quadratic equations by completing the square. So this actually has a lot to do with chapter 7 if you remember that. So we'll kind of go back to that factoring stuff that we talked about before about a month ago. So hopefully you remember how to do those things. Those you see, those algebra tiles are back. So here they want us to complete the expression and then factor the trinomial. So if we're looking at this, this kind of looks incomplete. You need to figure out what this last term is. That would make it, where you would FOIL it or make your Punnett square. And the way to do that is you're pretty much just taking half of this number, so divide it by 2, and then you're going to square it. And that'll give you that last number. So half of 12 is 6. 6 squared is 36. And that kind of makes sense because then if I do this, x plus 6 and x plus 6, well, two numbers that multiply to 36 are 6 and 6. And two numbers that add to 12 are 6 and 6. So it works. And then remember, with big ideas, they're kind of picky. They want you to write it like that. Since it's x plus 6, that's kind of the same thing as x plus 6 squared. All right, same thing here. So two numbers that multiply to 14. And since we're doing perfect squares here, half of 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 plus 7 is 14. So that should work. X minus 7, x minus 7. And then again, they want us to write it x minus 7 squared. Here we have x squared plus 4x. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So we're going to finish it off with a plus 4. And then same thing, x plus 2, x plus 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 plus 2 is also 4. Right here, same thing. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 squared is 81, so plus 81. So x plus 9, x plus 9, or x plus 9 squared. So 9 times 9 is 81. 9 plus 9 is 18. Here, this one, 5 and 6, you kind of see they're a little different just because they're not even numbers. 12 is an even number, 14 is an even number, 4 is an even number, 18 is an even number. Here, we don't get even numbers. So if you divide that by 2 and square it, you're just going to have it as 7 over 2. And so our parentheses are going to be x minus 7 over 2 and x minus 7 over 2. And the same thing, 7 over 2 squared. Same thing with 11. So 11 divided by 2. So 11 over 2. 11 over 2, or 11 plus 11 over 2 squared. Okay, so same thing except those odd numbers just kind of make it a fraction then. Okay, here we're only going to pick a couple of these just because the rest of them are kind of messy. So we're trying to figure out what x could be to make x squared minus 8x equal negative 15 and kind of have that equal negative 15. So we're going to do 7, 8, 9, and then 15 down here. The rest of them are really weird decimals, so I don't want to confuse you with that stuff. So kind of the same thing. We need to write this x squared minus 8x kind of like how it's written up here. So really that should be 8 divided by 2 is 4. That should be a 16 over there. So 8 minus 8x plus 16 equals a negative 15. And the way we're going to rewrite that is how I wrote it up there. So x minus 4 squared. And then over here, we're going to end up, since we kind of want that to cancel, we're going to end up adding 4 squared to each side. So we added the 16 to the left side. I added really 16 to the right side. So I added that up. So now I'm left with x minus 4 squared equals negative 15 plus 16. 4 squared is 16 is 1. Okay, but now I have this x squared, or I have this squared up here. And the way we get rid of a squared is a square root. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of x minus 4 squared is just x minus 4. So I'm left with x minus 4 equals 1. So then remember, the square root of 1 is really 1 and negative 1. So I'm left with x minus 4 equals 1. X minus 4 equals negative 1. Add 4 to both sides, add 4 to both sides. So 4 plus 1 is 5, so that's one answer. And negative 1 plus 4 is 3. All right, I felt like that was kind of messy with all that writing there. So let me do number 8 on this page. So we got x squared plus 2x equals 3. Okay, so first let's finish the square. Let's complete the square. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So I'm really going to add 1 squared to the left side. And if I add 1 squared to the left side, I need to add 1 squared to the right side. So this first step is pretty much what we did in those first 6 problems, is figuring out what number you're going to add to the outside. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. The same thing in the first one. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So I added 16 to both sides of number 7. Okay, then I need to do the math here. So I'm going to factor this out. So x squared plus 2x plus 1 is really the same as x plus 1 squared. 3 plus 1 squared is really the same as 4. And then I need to take the square root of both sides to get rid of this squared. Okay, so I'm just left with x plus 1 over here. And the square root of 4 is 2. Or it could be negative 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. And negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So really I have 2 equations here now. I have one that says x plus 1 equals 2. X plus 1 equals a negative 2. So I'm going to solve both of them. Subtract 1, subtract 1. So here I get x equals 1. And here I get x equals a negative 3. So those are my 2 answers there. Okay, let's look at number 9. Again, let's put it on this big page here. Actually, and number 9 kind of has a fraction there, but we'll get around that. Oops. 7x equals 30. So kind of like what I said for number 5 up top, 7 over 2 squared. So really we're going to do x plus 2, or sorry, x squared plus 7x plus 3.5 squared is the same as 30. And I added that 3.5 to the left side, so I need to add that 3.5 squared to the right side. So I'm left with x plus 3.5 squared equals 3.5 squared is 12.25. 30 plus 12.25 is 42.25. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. So I'm just left with x plus 3.5. And luckily, the square root of 42.25 isn't horrible. It's 6.5. But remember, it's positive 6.5 and negative 6.5. So we got x plus 3.5 equals 6.5. And x plus 3.5 equals negative 6.5. Minus 3.5 minus 3.5. X equals 3. There's one answer. Minus 3.5 minus 3.5. X equals negative 10. There's my other answer. All right, last one of this kind of problem is 15. So we got x squared plus 2x minus 99 equals 0. So this one adds one more step. We want that 99 to be on the other side. So first I'm just going to add 99 to both sides. X squared plus 2x equals 99. Okay, complete my square. So 2 divided by 2 squared means it's going to be 1. So that's the same as x plus 1 or x plus 1 squared. So I added 1 squared to the left side. So I need to add 1 squared to the right side. 99 plus 1 squared is 100. Square root, square root. So x plus 1 equals square root of 100 is 10 and negative 10. So I have x plus 1 equals 10. X plus 1 equals negative 10. Minus 1 minus 1. Minus 1 minus 1. So my 2 answers there are negative 11. Oops, I didn't even write it there. 10 minus 1 is 9. And then probably the 10 times easier way to do this, and kind of to show you just why it works, is we have x squared minus 8x equals a negative 15. Oops, 8x. I was about to say, why is that so weird? There we go. And it touches the x-intercept at 3 and 5, just like I tried to do on that first problem, but kind of ran out of room, so it might have got confusing there on that first one. but my two answers were 3 and 5. And that doesn't make sense because 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25, 8 times 5 is 40, 25 minus 40 is negative 15. So it does work there. Same thing with the 3. 3 squared is 9, minus 8 times 3, which is 24, so 9 minus 24, which is also negative 15. So that's why those are the answers, and that's why it makes sense there. Or, again, you can kind of put it in this Desmos graphing calculator. Same thing for that second one. So it was x squared plus 2x equals 3. And again, our two answers were 1 and negative 3 that we found out after we did the math. Or, again, you kind of just put it in the Desmos, and you can see it from there. All right, and then the last kind of problem we kind of already did before. It's talking about minimum and maximums. So remember, minimum is if the graph is so low, so it'll look like that, the minimum point, the lowest it goes. Maximum points are kind of when the graph is upside down. That's the highest it'll go. That's the maximum of the graph. So if you remember, when we do those, whoops, if it is a positive x squared out in front, so positive x squared, that means we're going to have a minimum. If it is a negative x squared, that means we're going to have a maximum. So I can already tell number 19 is going to have a maximum. Number 20 is going to have a minimum. 21 is going to have a maximum. 22 is going to have a minimum. 23 is going to have a minimum. And 24 is going to have a maximum. So again, we can already tell these negative x squared, positive x, negative x squared, positive x, positive 3x, negative 4x. So just because of that positive and negative, we can kind of figure out what it's going to be. And then the way to kind of do these is doing that negative b over 2a, if we remember all that stuff. So here I have negative b, so negative 4. Over 2 times a, and a here is a negative 1. So then I figure out negative 4 divided by 2 times negative 1, so negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. So that means x is positive 2. Now my answer is positive 2, but x is positive 2. So now if I plug that in here, I have 2 squared, which is 4, so negative 4, plus 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 3. So negative 4 plus 8 plus 3 gives us 7. So that's going to be our answer. We're going to have a maximum of 7. And kind of like I feel like the first one, it kind of gets more confusing if I write it all on one page there. So let's do number 20 on a new page so we have some room to work. So number 20 here. So y equals x squared plus 6x plus 10. Okay, since it's a positive x squared, I know my answer is going to have a minimum. So minimum of, first we're going to figure out what x is. So negative b over 2a. So b is 6. So negative 6. And then 2 times, again, 1. So 2 times 1. So I'm left with negative 6 over 2. So we figure out that x equals a negative 3. So now that x is a negative 3, I have negative 3 squared, which is 9, plus 6 times negative 3, which is negative 18. See, I even wrote the 18 there. 3 plus 10. So 9 minus 18 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 10 is 1. So this has a minimum of 1. And we'll do one more quickly here. So 21, y equals negative x squared plus 8x minus 2. It's negative, so I already know it's going to have a maximum. So negative b over 2a. So that means negative 8 over 2 times negative 1, which is going to give me a positive 4. So if I plug in positive 4 there, so 4 squared is 16, but there's a minus sign out in front, so negative 16. 8 times 4 is 32, minus 2. So negative 16 plus 32 is 16. 16 minus 2 is 14. So this one has a maximum of 14. Or again, if all else fails, you can go ahead and plug that into Desmos, and Desmos will give you the graph. And then you just got to go to the bottom and figure out what the minimum and or maximum was. Or go to the bottom, figure out the minimum, go to the top and figure out the maximum.